minutes.
Okay. Oh, good.
Why doesn't it say anything?
Yes, I received the message
Okay.
that it's recording.
Okay. Okay. So here we're talking about doubt and what does it mean as an epistemological method. So Prophet Atas talked a lot in his previous works in Islam and Secularism about the Western character. Why does he focus on the West so much? Because he finds that the West throws a lot of challenges to the Muslim ideas. And in fact, he is inviting the West to engage with the Muslim ideas because there are many discrepancies that he found in the fact that the what we call secularization is a program that is like a long-term project where you have philosophers coming up with one idea and another one coming and attacking him, and then they change their mind or they split into two, three schools of philosophies. They're always having arguments because their ideas all coming from the human being. So it's not coming from revelation, except for, there are certain, period where the Christians, scholastic scholars, they were inspired by Christianity, and Jewish one like Maimonides. He's influenced by Muslim and Jewish ideas of his time. But most of the Western ones and the early Greek philosophers, they were not really influenced by revelation. So they're always having this, and they're always having doubt from the very beginning of ancient philosophy. Doubt is always something that fuel their research, fuel their thoughts. Because they are always doubting, they want to prove that. Today we see among the atheists, they're always trying to prove that there is no God. It's the doubt that's giving them their energy. So Prophet Atas is trying to say that how do you determine something is not doubt? When you have certainty, you won't be in the middle like this. Doubt is a wavering between two opposites without preponderating over either one of them. You're not inclined to either. It is a condition of being stationary in the middle of the two ideas. But if you incline to one of it, that means you haven't rejected, but that is you having opinion. You're already having opinion about something, but you are not certain. When the heart rejects the other, then it is a certainty. The heart rejecting the other is a sign not of doubt as to its truth, but of positive recognition of its error or falsity. So, in order to get certainty, you have to realize what is false, and that is guidance. So doubt, whether it be definitive or provisional, like he explains, the definitive doubt is when you know the other one is, you already chose side, or it's something that you're not so sure of. It will not lead to certainty. As the Quran says, your opinion avails not against the truth. Just having opinion about something does not give you the truth. So that is very important, as we have in our Surah Al-Baqarah, in the beginning of Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Alif Lam Mim, Dhalikal Kitabu La Rayba Fih. This is a book, in it there is no doubt. So when you open the Quran, the first thing that Allah gives you is that here you have it. We as Muslims, unfortunately, we have this already, that it is a book where you have no doubt. But there is nothing wrong with us using our reasoning to check on those things and have conversations with ourselves with everything that Allah give us, so that we increase our certainty, increase our iman, even though we already know that the book has no doubt, nothing to doubt on the book. Okay, I'm going to try to go fast with this, and then I will open to sharing and questions. Based upon the position established by our philosophical and scientific tradition as integrated into a coherent metaphysical system, we maintain that many important similarities are found between our position and that of modern contemporary philosophy and science. So it's not anti-science. there are many similarities as well with regard to the sources and methods of knowledge, the unity of the rational and empirical ways of knowing, the combination of realism, idealism, and pragmatism as the cognitive foundation of a philosophy of science, the philosophy and science of process. But these similarities are apparent and pertain only to their external aspects, and they do not negate the profound differences that arise from our divergent worldviews and beliefs about the ultimate nature of reality. So these things comes from the previous pages. If I may go back, when Prof. Altas mentioned page 114, the gist of their basic assumptions that science is. So these are all the things that Prof. Altas has deliberated upon to come up with, what is modern science can basic beliefs. So it's just like Akidah in our religion. Science is also a worldview. So it's not neutral. That's the key thing, that at least if you can come up with, just bring home that key point, is already just a starting point. And for all scientists to be aware that, not to always give this statements that, we learn science is neutral, doesn't affect us, it doesn't make our iman last or something like that, that we have these things about it, but only people who have studied to a certain level can confirm these things. So children at school, they're not aware naturally, but unfortunately it's sad if even scientists don't care enough to look into these things, because they are just doing the scientific experiments, and they don't think about what is the origin, the history of science, the philosophy behind it in the past and today and in the future. So now Prof. Altas has selected from those presuppositions, and he's saying that the ones that we have problem with are the sources. So our sources of knowledge is the Quran and the Hadith, and everything that conforms with that, will not cause problem. The methods of gaining the knowledge, the unity of the rational empirical ways, so how we use our mind and how we also base our findings from the sensory perceptions. What we learn about this world is just like children, babies crawling on the ground and putting things in their mouth, and they depending on the senses. The combination of realism, idealism, and pragmatism, we have talked about this. There's other videos that you can watch from previous sessions. And the philosophy and science of process, he will explain more in the future about these. So these things look very positive in the sense that, there's no confrontation in a superficial way, but there's certain things that, could be problematic, which we have to read more of this. So the number one, as I mentioned, is the sources and methods of knowledge is our affirmation of revelation as the source of knowledge of ultimate reality and truth pertaining both to created things as well as to their creator, provides us with the foundation for a metaphysical framework in which to elaborate our philosophy of science as an integrated system descriptive of that reality and truth in a way which is not open to the methods of the secular philosophic rationalism and philosophic empiricism of modern philosophy and science. So he's mentioning how not just that this revelation is the Quran as our source of knowledge, but from the Quran, we have our grounding of not just spirituality, but also the truth. What do we know about the truth, our existence here? Is our existence here true existence, or is it just like call it like shadow, like Plato talks about, the allegory of the cave, where there are people who's born in this cave, and then all they see is just shadows of things, objects outside, but they can never see that object itself. Or in today's time, we have what the thing that appears, from light.
Sometimes they call it Fata Morgana.
Oh yeah, Fata Morgana.
Like something that you see in the desert.
Something like a mirage, like a mirage in the desert. You think there's water, but it's not there. So yeah, is that how our existence is like? Maybe we don't think about it, but Western scholars like Descartes, Nietzsche, and the existentialists, they talk about these things and doubting their own existence. So these are the kind of things that is the foundation for all knowledge, whether we really exist, whether this universe really exists, and how about the one that created it all. So these things are covered in our Islamic tradition under Sufism or Tasawwuf. And Prophet Atas is referring to that when he says metaphysics. Metaphysics of Islam is Tasawwuf. So many people talk about Sufism only in the sense of doing certain zikr, that certain Quran reading for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, what you read for Thursday, Friday. These are the prescription of how you become a spiritual person. But and others also have very negative ideas because some community practice Sufism in a very deluded way. They have mixed it with other religions or with their culture. So some people, when they hear Sufism, they don't want to hear anymore. But Prophet Atas says that it is part of our Islamic tradition and it contains a lot of gems that we have to, even for those who don't believe, they should at least know about it because there are big writings on existence, like from Ibn Arabi, from the earlier Sufis, Hassan al-Basri, and how it points to these realities that are transcendental, the realities that we cannot grasp in our everyday existence. Just by thinking about it, if we are not inclined, then we won't know anything about it. In philosophy of science, this is called naive realism, where one way of thinking about the reality of the world is that whatever I see, that's what it is. Are you saying there's another realm? That's, some people don't think about that. But more and more people with the theoretical physics these days are aware of how this space-time realm is not the only one. So they're coming up with multiverse and all these ideas. So I think I will stop here and open to question and sharing by the two here and the two in the Zoom call.
Maybe I can start off. Just an example that probably is good for any layman. Like in layman's term, what I can think of, like how today, recently, scientists decided that Pluto is no longer a planet, whereas that 10 years back, 20 years back was written in our textbook to say that, this is the truth, this is the fact. Memorize it, know by heart.
Yeah.
You will make a jingle out of it just to remember all the planets. And suddenly they say, no, it's not true. And how devastating is it? I mean, it has been for me because, who decides what's true, what's not? And to say that it can be changed, maybe 10 years down the road, suddenly Earth is not a planet. Who knows? All these things that are going to come out with, and you feel cheated, right? Because apparently there's a society that it goes back to what said said about what was
The
it?
convention,
The convention.
conventionalism, definitely. But the problem is when we are attracted to scientism so much that we want to make the Quran the book of science. So these things now we call it Tafsir Ilmi. This is new, where that means you try to connect the verses on nature and science with actual scientific findings. I mean, it's okay to it's actually encouraged. Allah also always asking us, look at this, look at the camel, look at the sky, apalat ta'qilun, don't you have a mind? Allah is always asking us to do tadabbur, to think about this nature part in the Quran itself, but not to use it as a confirmation, like, oh, the Quran is so advanced, it's this fact just came out and it matches, and then keep trying to use that where you're actually judging the Quran based on the science. So as you said, if Pluto is no longer a planet, then what if something suddenly doesn't match, the Quran doesn't match with the science? Then are you going to say, oh, unfortunately, the Quran doesn't know that this is wrong? It's a long story about that tafsir and everything, right? Your interpretation is not always the right interpretation. So yeah, but we cannot use it as a way to teach our kids in school, for instance, that always compare the science and the Quran. It shouldn't be done like that. Yeah, anyone else? Adam, you have anything to say?
I'd just like to say that during my time studying in university in the West, I've seen firsthand the confusion that people experience because of relying overly on science and then not having a clear view of things. Like, for example, for us, for any issues that we have concerning the modern world, we can always refer to the Quran. So we have like a set sense of morality. We have a set sense of beliefs. So we say this is that. Whereas these people in a perpetual state of doubt and sophism, they have become confused between left and right, up and down, man and woman, etc. So having Islam is an invaluable resource for us to hold on tight to study. That's why.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, we're just touching on nature and natural science, but it also has impact on ethics. And of course, we know many of the Western philosophers that discuss human nature. They also touch on what the human desires and utilitarianism ideas. Yeah. So, is there any comment from them on the message? Because my screen doesn't show.
Yeah, Halimi can write anything down in the comment box. Cik Norita, have any comments, reaction, questions?
Assalamualaikum. Dr. Filan, I'm a bit
Okay,
confused
so
about
if there
the.
is no question, I'm going to close the PDF. I'll make sure to send it to you, inshallah.
Can you hear my
Yeah, no
my
question.
voice?
We are going
I think
to.
Puan Norita is trying to speak.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear my voice?
I cannot hear you.
Oh, then I will type.
Better.
Yeah, now can. Now can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, regarding the intuition, I'm a bit confused about that. Because why do scientists they don't consider intuition as something that is acceptable, And
Is that your question?
Yeah.
Do they think it's not acceptable?
Yeah.
Okay. If I'm not mistaken, are you Dr. Norita from USIM or?
Yes. And my background is in computer science.
Mashallah, that's wonderful. Thanks a lot. And share
Okay.
with us your expertise. So, Prof. Atas is not saying that they don't accept it because there are many evidence. For instance, Einstein's it has this famous intuition of riding on light in space. So he's riding at the speed of light, and that inspired him for his theory on relativity. This all kinds of things with the Crick and Watson shape of the double helix that was perceived during a dream, I believe. So these are something actually today they are crazy to get this intuition. So maybe in the past they're not sure about intuition, it's part in knowledge, but today they call it thought experiments, when you want to know something.
I see.
Yeah, so it's something they know, but because science, especially in the beginning part of philosophy of science, the empiricists, the logical positivists, that branch focus on the sensory aspects. So if something is not an observable variable, then they cannot accept it.
I
So
see.
science. Some things like a lot of things in psychology is labeled pseudoscience because it's just
Yeah.
humans coming up with theory. So yeah, so it's not that they don't accept it, they just could categorize it as real, meaningful science.
But so in the Islamic worldview, the intuition is it something similar to that? Or is it referring to like something like ilham or things like that?
Yes, yes, ilham, and also there are many levels because we in theoretical Sufism, the kashaf, we have illuminative intellection, this all kinds of levels of human awareness. Not everyone can have it.
I see.
So
I
it is
see.
based on your spiritual attainment and the gift that Allah wants to give.
I see. I see. Okay. Okay. And the other one regarding the doubt, is it similar to skepticism? That is.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kiran.
All right. So we are going to close now. Atika, would you like to close for us? Okay. Yeah, we won't stop recording yet because maybe it's good to have the information.
Okay, so with this, I would like to share you more of Ustazah initiative. Basically, Ustazah Kalina is launching a Mexican project and platform for teachers in Southeast Asia to contribute their writing in order to strengthen our rich local knowledge and tradition. The website is called citra.guru. Okay, Citra coming from the word image, painting, and guru, teacher. So I'm gonna drop you all a short message in the comment box so everyone can see. And also there's a link there where you can go and find more information about this initiative. And if that is something that you think someone will be interested in, please do share. Because we'll be glad if you can share something with benefit like this and invite more people to contribute. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Atika. So I really like to thank Atika for helping to moderate our sessions. This is our fifth session. We have 4 videos previously, so I will share with you so that you can go back and also the PDF. As for the Citra Guru, it's a magazine in hopefully in Malay language, but also whatever the contributors, the writers write about. It's for teachers, lecturers, anyone who's dealing with education with the aim of increasing the intellectuality of our teachers so that they can convey that to our students and so that they can have strong ideas and innovations and based on our tradition as well. Even though it's not just for Muslims, it's for all teachers in Southeast Asia. As an aside, as part of the program, the newsletter for teachers, we also have someone who we hired to make a lexicon, which is something of the tradition of our great scholars in the past, in order to preserve the Muslim community from secularization. It is important to have the correct meaning for things, like if you say evolution. So you have to correct the mistake by having dictionaries and encyclopedias, constantly revising, and that's where Muslims can turn to and look up words, in let's say in artificial intelligence, you have words like ontology or something like that, to have what it says in modern times, but also what does it mean really? Because for Islamic religion, every word has its true meaning that Allah wants intended for the word. So Muslim scholars have to be the ones who venture into all these fields and then Islamize and to provide the definition. So I have started by what definition Prof. Al-Hafiz does. In all of his writings, he provides definitions for everything. But we have to look through them carefully and list them. So this is part of the project as well. So I need help in this area by way of contribution in writing or ideas and also financial help. So this is the site where people can contribute until August 10th, I believe, financially. So I ask you for your help, whatever amount. Originally, this class was has a fee as well, but then followed by so many, so I feel like it's pointless. So whoever wants to donate, are welcome to. So thank you so much for your time. I ended with doa kafaratul majlis. Please recite it yourself. And Suratul As. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal asr. Innal insana lafi khusr illa alladziina aamanu wa amilus solihati lahum ajrun ghayra mamnun. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.